Sorry about the mess. Hello, name's Butcher. Billy Butcher. Soups lose hundreds of people each year as collateral damage. That's where I come in. Spank the bastards when they get out of line. I've got the boys back together.
We're the Seven, champions of the innocent. Mother...
That was diabolical! Howdy, boys. Well. About fucking time.
Hello and welcome to Boys Banter, a Who Watches podcast about the Amazon Prime series The Boys. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Alex Brunel.
I'm Dustin Meadows.
And this week we will be covering Season 2, Episode 6, The Bloody Doors Off.
Yeah.
Which, the bloody doors did come off this week.
There was a lot of blood. It was good.
A lot of fire.
A lot of doors, too.
A lot of doors. Significant number of doors.
So,
what the fuck are you talking about?
So Dustin, what did you think of this very door bloody heavy episode?
Wait. Can I complain about Zack Snyder before we talk about our show?
Okay. So we got a little bit of a Zack Snyder update from Alex.
I'm sorry. I have a platform and I need to use it to complain about Zack Snyder. So in Justice League Snyder Cut news, the original deal was he was being given $20 to $30 million to finish his cut of the movie. And that was it. And they were not letting him go back to shoot more footage. He was given that pile of money and said, you can spend it on effects and whatever, but we're not getting these actors back together. Now, they have upped that to $70 million and are going back for 1 week of reshoots with Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Ray Fisher as Cyborg. That's all. $40 million could feed a lot of people. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Sitting around doing nothing. Fucking release the Snyder Cut. Am I right?
Oh, I'm so glad I had that. I didn't know we were doing this, but I found it.
That's all. I think that's stupid, and I think that perhaps the Snyder Cut, clocking in at 4 hours, as it is predicted to be, will be the longest thing that I've ever hate watched in my life when I eventually do that.
Might have to get real drunk for that one.
Yeah,
it's a full-blown miniseries.
Yes, unfortunately, that is correct. Not since the days of The Exorcist Dominion and whatever the other version of that was called have we seen two official cuts of the same movie so drastically different. Anyway, that's all I got. Snyder, go to heck. Not hell. That seems really harsh, but just like heck, which is probably just mostly unpleasant but livable.
Yeah, don't they go there in Rocco's Modern Life?
Do they?
Probably.
Yeah.
That seems about right.
That sounds correct.
With peaches. So we've got that news. I guess while we're on the subject of news, there's actually news regarding The Boys that happened this past week as well.
Oh, yeah, there was.
Yeah, there's going to be a Boys spin-off series that focuses on like a college-age kids that are growing up with superpowers. When I read that, it calls to mind, Dustin, the G-Men from.
Yeah, are they doing a G-Wiz series?
It sounds like it's got to be that, because it doesn't sound like anything else. I mean,
it sounds like Clone High, but with superheroes to me.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be really cool.
Yeah. The
Kripke's not running it
comic,
though. Somebody else is running it? No.
I don't know. I do not have that info in front of me.
Maybe I do.
But the G-Men in the comics were kind of a spoof on the X-Men to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and all their different X teams. Nice.
Craig Rosenberg is going to be the showrunner. He's an executive producer of the series of The Boys and is a writer on The Boys. and Kripke will executive produce.
Craig Rosenberg,
Yeah, Craig Rosenberg,
but not Michael Rosenbaum. Got it.
not Michael Rosenbaum.
Not Urban Legends, Michael Rosenbaum. Fortunately.
That'd have been better. Well, I don't know. Is that good news? I mean, it feels it's news.
I think it's good news.
It is news.
Well, unrelated, I found out today when I was reading over something. There's a Butcher short film that I didn't know about that we haven't talked about or watched.
That's an Amazon thing? It's like with Carl Urban and whatnot?
It's listed with everything else, so we should probably put that on our radar and talk about that. As from what I've seen, it's already out. So
yeah, I think they premiered that prior to this season starting, and I didn't watch it because I thought it was basically going to be a clip show from the first season. So I think I need to watch that.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't watch it because I didn't know it existed until today.
Same. I didn't know that was a thing.
So yeah, we'll circle the wagons and come back to that next week.
All right.
Extra homework for everybody to watch the Butcher short film.
How long is it?
I think it's like 6 minutes.
Fantastic.
It's short.
Great.
Yeah. So we could literally tackle that and the next episode on the same episode.
I love it. I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing else though. We should talk about the boys now.
Yes. Yeah. The bloody doors off. All the blood, all the doors, all the time.
Yeah.
Only off.
Dustin, how did you feel about this episode?
I dug it. It, like I've said, almost every episode, they do a really good job with deviating from the comic and going in a real interesting new direction. I think you might have even hinted at what we ended up finding out about Sean Ashmore this week. But that was cool.
Yep.
And there were a couple of nice little Easter eggs in there. We get to meet a hero from the comics called the Love Sausage.
Yeah.
Whose power is his gigantic snake-like dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about the hospital, there's that. When we talk about the hospital, there's that guy, and there was another one that I loved. I love that sequence.
Yeah. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of great story beats this week. We got 2 episodes left, so I'm excited to see how they're going to wrap it all up.
Yeah. Alex, how did you feel?
I dug it, man. This episode felt like it made the world of the show way huger, just in relatively kind of minor detail strokes, but like it really kind of blew up the world, I thought.
Blew the bloody doors off.
It blew the bloody doors off. I was very psyched about this episode all throughout. I saw the synopsis, or maybe I saw maybe just like what you posted, Travis, with the Facebook post, and I was like, oh, and then it opened up with 8 years ago, and I'm like, is this gonna be like a whole episode of like a Frenchie flashback? And then I was gonna be like irritated, but that didn't happen, so I wasn't.
No, yeah, they incorporated the flashbacks very well.
Yeah, I thought so.
And really dug deep, I think, into a lot of the characters.
Yeah, without dragging.
Yeah, so we can get right into it. This week, I have also broken the episode up by groups of characters that we follow. So we'll start off with probably the main group, which is comprised of Frenchie. So we open up with the flashback to 8 years ago, and Frenchie is with Cherie and a guy named Jay. And he's talking about his days of turning tricks and learning life from the Golden Girls while he creates a bomb.
Yeah. Can we talk about what that bomb was, or are we not at that scene yet?
No, I think we can talk about it.
So it's a Xanax bomb, and he made it to take down this Soup, it seems like a Hulk-like character where his power comes from his anger, and that just made me think, oh my god, what if the Hulk took Xanax?
It's his kryptonite.
That's genius. I love that. I love when that kind of a little idea is like, it's such a beautiful little nugget of a thing, and it's literally just a sentence in the show, and it illustrates the world so well. I really love that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. On a slightly less important note, we learned that Frenchie's real name is Serge,
Yeah.
which I don't think we ever get that in the comics. We never get a name. He's just the Frenchman or Frenchie, always.
Interesting.
Do you ever get the name of the female or Kamiko?
If you do in the comics, it is in passing. And at no point do they refer to her as anything but the female in the comics if they do learn her name at all. So, which, again, I think is to the show's credit because it humanizes her further.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because a few times in the notes or in the synopsis, I write the female, and I'm like, no, it's just Kamiko in the show.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, by the way.
Yeah, it's one of those changes they made for the show that I think helps it stand on its legs a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. And on an even lesser note, we learned that he sees Cherie as Blanche, Jay as Dorothy, and then
Of course, I'm Betty White.
which he seemed to take a lot of pride in that, and I was like, who would want to be Rose?
Yeah,
like,
Rose is a dummy.
The stupidest one.
Yeah.
I want to be Dorothy or Sophia all the way.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Betty White's in Lake Placid, so she's got that going for her.
That's true. Yeah, and then we cut to Frenchie in the present, and they're helping Starlight remove her tracker so that she can go to their lair and help them.
Yeah.
Oh, really quick before I forget it, did anyone besides me get the vibe that Jay, Cherie, and the Frenchman are a throuple?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I was like, because like Columbus is just poly as fuck. And I was like, I'm not misreading this, right? Like they're all three of them are together, right?
Yeah. No,
So, okay.
I definitely got that sense.
Yeah, and I really liked that for how nonchalant the show played that. Like it didn't make that a thing at all. It's just like, yeah, these people are in a relationship and we're going to imply that, and it's not going to be a plot point. It just is.
Yeah, there's this throuple. Frenchie's bi. Cool.
Yeah. I like that kind of stuff a lot. I was happy to see it come up in this episode like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then in the boys' lair, we see Butcher. He's watching an interview of Homelander and Stormfront on the TV, and he can tell right away that they're doing it with each other. And then he and Kamiko share like a moment of hate watching. And then Starlight shows up and gives them the info about the emails that she has regarding the Sage Grove Center. And
but her emails.
Yeah. They decide to drive to the center to check it out. So.
Yeah, that is what happens. I don't know how to give. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of subtext.
Yeah, it's just that happens. I don't know. There's not a way to feel about that. It's just a plot.
Yeah. Except for Butcher not really having an issue with Starlight going with him, because he said if shit goes south, who will they go after?
Right.
Never go into shark-infested waters without chum.
Yeah.
It's a good line. I actually was curious. Did I maybe just like tune out for the moment where they mentioned what they were going to do with the tracker that they removed from Annie's neck?
No, they never mentioned what they did with it.
Yeah, they just took it out and they're just like, okay, it's out.
And then the entire episode, Ashley's freaking out because she doesn't know where Starlight is.
Right. So they didn't go to like the jewelry. They didn't be like, oh, Starlight's been in this jewelry shop for 14 hours. That seems odd.
Yeah.
So they must have done something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably find out next episode.
Yeah.
So then Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kamiko suit up in orderly scrubs and sneak into the Sage Grove Center. And then we get a flashback to Frenchie being recruited by Grace Mallory, and she's very impressed by the Xanax bomb.
It's very impressive. I was very impressed by the Xanax bomb. I would have hired him into the FBI or CIA or whatever shadowy organization she belonged to.
Yeah, and she uses because he doesn't want to do it, she uses Cherie and Jay, their freedom as leverage in order to get him to to join her.
Right. And I mean, like, that makes sense. Frenchie is very much a criminal. Like, don't want to play nice with law enforcement. But
and it's also while they're suiting up that it's revealed that Kimiko got some brass knuckles that she bought with her blood money.
What they said bossy, right?
Bossy, yeah.
okay, yeah, I couldn't remember what the word was. That's very funny. Like, that struck me as a little bit odd. Like that character went for something that flashy. But makes for a good moment in the episode.
Yeah, but think about how great it's going to be the first time she punches someone, and then they've just got Aesop on their forehead.
That happened.
She did that to Love Sausage.
That's okay. I remember watching that, and I remember seeing something on his head, but I couldn't distinguish what it was. I was like, did they stamp him? That clears that mystery up.
Yeah.
I was like, he didn't have a stamp in the comic books. Well, when it did happen, I'm sure it was great for her.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Sure, she got what she wanted out of that scenario.
And then the three get into the Grove Center, and Frenchie is put on a gurney. And then they get into the security booth, and they see cells that are filled with soups. And then they witness Stormfront and an orderly talk to a telekinetic young man. And then shortly thereafter, Stormfront leaves, and the kid is burned alive by the orderly, which Frenchie then immediately recognizes as Lamplighter.
The opposite of Iceman.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, Lamplighter is played by Shawn Ashmore, who played Iceman in the X-Men films. And he has the exact same power as, his opposite, Pyro. And he uses it in the exact same way, carrying around a lighter that he plays with the whole time. And I was looking up pictures of Pyro today, and it's like he looked at the guy who played him and is using the exact same stance, the exact same technique.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. That's got to be... I wonder if that's actionable. I mean, that has to all be direct and intentional.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I like that. I'm digging the Lamplighter character very much so far, personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, before we get too far into it, they've also they've done a really good job of making some awful people like sympathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The Game of Thrones George R.R. Martin way of doing things, where you hate somebody for doing one thing, and then you spend the rest of the series humanizing them and making them feel like, oh yeah, they're people too.
Except for Joffrey, who's still just the worst.
Well, every TV writer saw Breaking Bad and was just like, oh, we can make a bad person the relatable lead? Cool. And now TV's broken.
Yeah. And then, of course, one of the guys that they see on the monitors is the aforementioned Love Sausage.
Well, they've got a love sausage.
Like, as soon as I saw the imprint in the pants, I was like, all right, so we at least get to see Love Sausage. And then MM had that line. I was like, all right, well, now we're actually naming him out. Cool. Awesome. I was disappointed he didn't get, well, I mean, what little screen time Love Sausage got, he did a great job with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the comics, he is an old school Russian communist who helps out the boys. And I would have been pro seeing a Russian running around with just a huge hog and just talking in his old Russian accent.
You can hear his Russian accent, just like a very little bit. It's there in the mix, and then on the subtitles too, it says just like Russian dialogue.
Oh, that's good. Nice.
Also, Frenchie just straight up murdered that security guard.
He did, right? That happened?
Yeah.
I thought it was a tranquilizer gun.
I mean, it could be.
Like, I saw body hits, but I didn't see blood hits.
There was no blood, but there were dark circles that implied like bullet burns. I didn't see darts.
It could be. I thought it was tranquilizers, but I could be mistaken. It was also really quick.
I mean, like there's a surprising amount of wanton killing from people that we like in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Because then it's shortly after that Frenchie and Lamplighter have a confrontation in the hallway, which results in a soup named Cindy escaping. And then she destroys a security guard handily and then unleashes the rest of the soups from their cells.
That's like my favorite, her power is my favorite illustration of a power in the show so far, I think, where she just squeezes with her hand and then whatever she's like directing that at pops. And I'm just like, yes, this is great. This is a great power. I hope that her power doesn't live in her hands like Kimiko's brother. I like that. I like that power a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And then, just chaos ensues as soon as that happens. And the entire time I watch, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This feels just like Cabin in the Woods.
I was just about to ask if anyone else got that vibe.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the doors open, I was like, okay, this is just like when they press the purge button in Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, I kept waiting for the merman to show up.
Oh, that was right. That was the other time that I laughed. One of the hardest points in the episode where I laughed is coming up. We haven't gotten there yet, but one of the first time was when does acid vomit have a name? Is that a character in the comic book? The guy who just like puked acid.
I couldn't think of a parallel in the comic. The only thing I could think of was Zeitgeist from Deadpool 2.
Right.
Because they seemed very similar.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, if that character exists in The Boys, it's not a featured or memorable role by any means.
I think one of the G-men has that power.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the kids seems to have that. So that's the only thing that came to mind for me.
I'll resume my thought, but just because you mentioned Zeitgeist, I do want to mention that character was ganked from the series Ecstatics by Peter Milligan and Mike Allred, and went uncredited as to the genesis of that character in Deadpool 2, and that was a dumb thing. Anyway, I loved the acid vomit guy and him coming in and like singeing the side of Lamplighter. But I love that he is not immune to his own power. So all it took to defeat him was for Kimiko to knock some of it out of him and for it to land back on his face, and then he's done. His acid dissolves his own face.
Yeah, that's a very
terrible power.
Yeah, terrible one to have when you're not immune to it at all.
I love that so much. I could not stop laughing as this guy's face was just disintegrating.
And then in the Grove Center, Lamplighter tells Frenchie that he recognizes him from the night that he burnt those kids. And we get a flashback to the boys from 5 years ago, in which they bring in Lamplighter, and they've clearly blackmailed him with something so that he will spy on the Seven for them. And then he leaves, and Mallory tasks Frenchie with tailing him.
Yeah. Something really quick that I never noticed before. Correct me if I'm wrong. In that flashback, Butcher doesn't have that scar yet.
No, I don't think he does.
He didn't.
So I'm real curious when we're going to see how that happens.
If we do, I'll be fine if there's no Scar origin story.
Yeah.
I really like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like these little teases and the continuity of, and just how thorough they've been with it.
Yeah, because we get Mother's Milk. He's about to propose to his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is the kind of like this episode did that kind of thing very well. Whereas like the episode, was it 2 or maybe episode 3? I don't know, the one where they are going to visit the old lady who tells them about liberty. And that did a lot of character work in a way that I felt like just dragged on. But this is like, it's doing really good character work with like a single line of dialogue here and there, in this episode. This is the mode I prefer. I love the efficiency at which they're moving it when the episode is written this way. I also really love Lamplighter's outfit, and having just watched Watchmen finally, it was very evocative of like Sister Knight, kind of, just with the hood.
Yeah. Nice.
All I could think of was Arrow when I
That's
saw his
what I thought
costume.
of, too. I'm like, this looks like it's
Sure.
from the Arrowverse.
I mean, all of these costumes kind of look like they're from the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But I love the idea. Like, I get that, in this world there are the Supes and they can go where they want because they're these celebrities, and if they have their weapons with them, like, that's okay. Like the Archer just going around with his quiver full of arrows and stuff. But like, Lamplighter walks around and he literally just has fire on a stick, and like if he brushes up against a curtain or something, like it seems like a very dangerous thing to just allow a person to carry around, even if they're a superhero.
Yeah.
Also, like, I was thinking about that as he left. I was like, that's such a, like, what if you don't want to carry a fucking torch the whole time? Like, he doesn't have like a sling or a quiver or a holster or anything to like put it in on his back. It's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to the movies with this fucking torch.
Yeah, he doesn't, it
all
doesn't
he,
like
all
have,
he needs is a little spark.
yeah, right. It doesn't even have like little legs. He could just set it down. He has to like find a wall to lean it against that's like stone.
A sconce.
Yeah, he needs to hang it from his sconce.
Yeah. Is there a dungeon nearby where I could just leave this for a minute?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and then and then Frenchie uses a drug cocktail to make a knockout bomb for them to use when they escape. And he asks Lamplighter why he never came after them, and attacks them for burning Mallory's grandkids. And then it's revealed that he didn't know that that's what he was doing, and he thought that he was going after their boss Mallory.
Everyone sympathetic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then we find out that Frenchie was forced to leave so that he could help Jay when he was overdosing.
Yeah. I think the additional takeaway from the Lamplighter thing too is the Seven don't know about it.
Yeah,
Because one of the things they mention is that, like Frenchie says, you never told them, did you? Like after Lamplighter spills his guts about burning Mallory's grandkids. Because in the comics, the Seven find out about it, and they literally give Lamplighter to the boys to execute in exchange to start a truce between them.
mm-hmm.
Ooh. I'm gonna read this comic book in between season 2 and 3.
It's mostly good. Most of it holds up.
Yeah, and then Lamplighter explains to Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kimiko that the people in the Grove Center are test subjects for them to stabilize Compound V in adults, and he doesn't know why they're doing it. They just make him burn the evidence once they're done. And,
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a really fucking depressing way to live.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
this
you
makes
know-
me wonder if the boys eventually are going to take Compound V.
Yeah, they could be going in that direction.
Yeah.
They were in this whole storeroom full of drugs. Frenchie could have
Snagged
taken
some.
quite a bit of it. Yeah, packed it into that ambulance they took.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, as they're doing that, a giant love sausage breaks through the window and nearly strangles Mother's Milk.
Like, I was going to say, because I was unfamiliar with Love Sausage as a character, obviously, because I have not read the comic books. I just saw that there was a guy with a big dick in his pants in the show. And then during the mayhem, there was like a tentacle around, and I'm like, one of them's got tentacle arms, I guess. But then that thing broke through, and I'm like, that tip is interesting. It's very, it's very fleshy. And I'm like, this is a penis. This is that guy's dick.
Me and my fiance were watching it, and as soon as she saw it wrapped around M's neck, she's like, "That's a fucking dick." So in the comics, Love Sausage, he doesn't have a prehensile stretchy dick.
No,
He absolutely
have one.
he has a massive hog, and he's super huge and strong. But the funniest thing about him in the comics is if he gets an erection, he literally passes out from blood loss.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which maybe is why, just like when they cut to him in the hallway, it's like, was ridiculous.
But the scene like finally like answers like the thing that Sir Mix-a-Lot was talking about.
Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
That's the anaconda in question.
That is the definition of an anaconda, I think.
I mean, we saw Eminem in those orderly scrubs. He got buns.
You do got buns.
I saw somebody post a picture of John Voight from Anaconda, and the mother's milk, and I'm like, wow, it's the same shot.
John Boyd just talking about being wrapped up by the love sausage, like tighter than your lover's embrace or whatever shit he says in Anaconda.
I gotta say, I watched Anaconda during the pandemic times here, and John Voight, I don't really like John Voight in general, but his performance in that movie is absolutely one of the dumbest things I've ever seen committed to film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I almost
his
pulled
fake,
some sound bites from that.
his awful Paraguayan accent.
What the fuck is he doing? Anyway, that bad choices, John Voight. Like a year out from Mission Impossible. I think it was Mission Impossible 96, Anaconda 97, unless I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I always think of an Anaconda, specifically that shot where he just drags his fingers down his face to show off his anaconda bite scar. And all I can think of is Nicolas Cage doing the face-off thing when I see that scene.
No, I want a movie where John Voight trades faces with an anaconda.
We can get a National Treasure where Voight and Cage trade faces.
I hope if there is another National Treasure with Nick Cage's character, that John Voight's character is dead. That is my hope.
Not the patriarch of the Gates family.
He can die.
All right.
Stay on target.
So
God damn it.
That is the best way to rein us in, Travis.
Yes.
By us, I guess I generally mean me.
I was in it.
Then they get into the hallway, and they're confronted by Cindy again, and Frenchie's bomb does not work. And
no,
then
she just does the and crunches the can.
Yeah, I love how anticlimactic it is.
Yeah, and he spent a really long time, it seemed like, putting that bomb together.
Yeah, we've seen his expertise at work. Like this is why Translucent is dead because of the bomb he made.
Yeah,
and then just crunch.
Yeah, it was great.
And then Stormfront shows up to save the day.
Surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, the surprise is Lamplighter covering for the boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
In whatever story he gives her holding up, which, I'd be very suspect if I'm Stormfront about like what all has gone down.
Yeah.
And you've got to think that with all the security cams and everything, there's footage of what actually happened.
If it hasn't been destroyed.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I initially thought this scene was going to go a very different direction. Because in the comics, when Stormfront shows up, like the confrontation literally happens at like an abandoned hospital. So all I was saying was like, oh shit, are they going to finally have to go toe to toe with Stormfront? Like, but that is not the direction it went. But again, they do a great job of misdirecting for those of us that are well versed in the comics, and I fucking love that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So he gets them out of there, and then they are waiting outside with an ambulance, and then Mallory shows up, and they present her with Lamplighter, and she wants to just kill him, but Frenchie says that it would only put him out of his misery, and that they could probably use him for something. And to what end, we do not know. We're left with that question.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has ever revenge killed a person who's like, please, you'd be doing me a favor, because then you're just like, well, fuck, now it's not fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to do you a favor.
You took the fun out of this.
Yeah, this scene I really liked, because you've got Mallory, who's just like filled with, just hate, and she probably blames herself to a degree, and she wants to exact revenge on him, but it's not going to do any good. It never does it any good. And then Lamplighter
No.
feels guilt for this thing that he didn't intend to do. And Frenchie is dealing with all this guilt for not being there to stop it. And his friend dying anyway months later. It's just this this trio of these three people hurting so much, and for something that they're all involved in, but they really, I don't know. It's just this very interesting and very real thing where I think you find people who are hurting over stuff that cannot be fixed.
Yeah,
And
I mean, they all learn in this scene that there's nowhere to go with their pain. Like they've reached the end of the road with their feelings and with what they can do to address that, and now they're all just kind of shattered together. And I thought the performances in that scene were really great too.
Oh yeah,
particularly on Lamplighter's part. That guy, I mean, what's his name? Sean Ashmore.
Yeah,
Sean Ashmore.
He was really good in that scene.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like Sean Ashmore got more to do in one episode with this character than he got to do across 3 X-Men movies with Iceman.
I mean, that's true.
But he turned into ice in X3.
What's that?
But he literally turned into ice in X3. The best one.
Yeah, but character beat-wise, there's not a lot. Like, literally the most we got was that very ham-fisted "Have you tried not being a mutant" scene in X2 with him. I was like, we get the parallels. I feel like he could be a little more subtle Bryan Singer, but...
Right, but also, like, yes, he didn't have a lot to do, but also, like, I'd wager that he learned a lot about his own acting abilities in the intervening 15-plus years.
Oh, sure. And again, that's not to say that Sean Ashmore is bad in those movies.
No, he's not, but he doesn't have a lot to do.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, every single one of those movies was like, hey, what if we made Wolverine the only character with anything going on?
Also, sometimes Rogue. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Hey, what if we had someone like Anna Paquin, who's great at acting, just not act at all? What if she just pouted for 3 movies instead of flying and throwing cars at people?
Yeah. Whatever. Days of Future Past is
That's
cool.
what happens. Yeah.
The Days of Future Past is fine.
I like that movie.
Yeah. And then so that's all for this group of characters.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Butcher, Huey, and Starlight. So once they let them in, they watch the trio go into the Grove Center, and Butcher's sniper rifle lingers quite a long time on Starlight's chest. She gets back to the van, and they have a very heated exchange. And Starlight calls Butcher a bigot and a bully, and compares him to Homelander.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
not inaccurate.
No.
Well, and I think the most important takeaway is we find out that Huey owns at least 2 Billy Joel shirts.
Oh, at least. Huey is always wearing band shirts.
Always wearing band shirts, but this is definitely the second Billy Joel shirt that's shown up. And it got me thinking, I was like, how many people own multiple shirts of the same band? Is that really a common thing? Like, I feel like for certain bands, absolutely. Like bands that have kind of a cult-like following, I could see it, but who owns 2 Billy Joel shirts? Huey.
Billy Joel cultists. And also, like, I'm sitting over here, like, I don't even know how many Devo t-shirts I have. I have, like, 12 They Might Be Giants t-shirts. I have, like, 4 Andrew WK t-shirts.
See, Devo makes sense to me. Devo's one of those bands that, like, they do have a massive... I don't want to say cult-like because that's a negative connotation.
They have a cult following, yeah.
but yeah, it's a huge following. So, like, bands like that make sense to me. It'd be like, who would own more than all Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirts? Like,
Dude.
I could see owning a Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt, but 2 Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirts, get the fuck out of here.
Can I take a brief tangent to tell a very short Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt story?
Yes.
I was when I was flying back from Peru, the layover was in El Salvador. And and I was just eating something in I was eating something in an airplane or an airport restaurant. And there is another guy, I assumed he was American, he was traveling by himself over there in a Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing in South America with the Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt on? That struck me as, please leave that in the United States. That's all.
I was really hoping it was due to his and that man's name was Anthony Kiedis.
I would have loved to have run into Anthony Kiedis wearing a shirt for his own band in El Salvador by himself.
Oh,
That would have made my trip.
Yeah.
good times.
So then, as things rage on inside, a soup arrives, and Butcher tries to talk to him.
One of the
but,
patients from inside the place,
Yeah.
one of the escapees, yeah.
but then he just, sends a sonic blast that flips the van, and then Butcher kills him, and they find out that the van flipping actually injured Huey, and that he needs the media help.
And more importantly, ruined his Billy Joel t-shirt.
Oh, no.
Two things about this moment. I'm not super surprised with how quickly or, thoughtlessly Butcher killed that guy. I was a little surprised with how not concerned about that Starlight was, which I guess foreshadows the thing that we're going to talk about in a moment. And then the other thing was, I didn't quite understand the physics of the van doing what it did to Huey. He had this huge piece of shrapnel in his side.
Well, and he ended up in the back of the van, too.
Right, and he was sitting in the front passenger seat, and the van rolled over on its side axis.
Yeah.
And not, front to back. So, I don't know. I mean, it got crazy, I guess. Sonic Blast does stuff.
I had that same reaction. I was like, how weird is it that this is the moment that takes me out of this superhero show?
Yeah, right?
Like this is the moment where I cannot suspend my disbelief. A matter of, real world physics.
Yeah. But I did find it very notable that the person to first think of, oh shit, is Huey safe, was Butcher. And he was like, Huey! And then he runs away and Starlight follows. It wasn't Starlight being like, oh my god, Huey! And then Butcher like, oh, Huey. Which is a flip from what we've seen recently. So that was a nice little thing, I thought.
Yeah. Butcher tries to get her to cauterize the wound, but she can't do it because she doesn't have any power nearby. Which I didn't realize that was part of her.
I didn't realize either.
Her skill set, and
Yeah,
I don't like that.
I don't think that had really been established before. We've seen lights flicker in response to her using them, but it's never been explicitly stated. It's like she's literally pulling energy from them.
Yeah.
So that was news to me because I don't think that's a thing in the comics either. So I didn't see that kind of information drop coming.
And also, skipping ahead a scene, they use the power of a car, and we'll talk about this in that scene in a minute, but she uses a power coming from an automobile out on the road to cauterize the wound before they go to the hospital. Could they not have tried to start the van?
Yeah. I mean...
It's true.
Anyway, I literally just thought of that. I'm like, couldn't they have just started the van and there's...
Poking more holes in this van thing going on.
Yeah. Or a cell phone battery.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah. So yeah, next scene, Starlight waves down a car and the driver gets out and won't give them his car without an ID. And then he draws a gun from his glove box, and then Starlight kills him.
Well, because they claim they're FBI, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Butcher claims they're FBI.
Go to. Yeah.
Right. And then Starlight just kills the guy.
Yeah. Oh, and then
Oh, Dustin is slowing down.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy, still uncomfortable here
now. Okay. Dustin, whatever you just said, we didn't hear it. You were frozen.
I was just saying, I don't think I said anything after the stand your ground comment.
We didn't hear it.
Because I realized that...
We're still not hearing it. Oh boy.
Things were frozen. So I was like, oh boy, that still gives me chills hearing people just throw that around all willy nilly.
Yeah. Just this was also interesting because the guy who played this character was Jason Gray Stanford, who was on the entirety of Monk. He was in every episode of Monk. He was like the character that was, he was like a police officer that was like, oh god, this guy again. He was that character in Monk. Super fun in that show. I'm a little bit bummed that I don't know if it's like he wanted to do a guest spot or if he knows Kripke or like it was a favor or what, but I'm like, he was like an every episode recurring actor in a show that a lot of people watched, and now he is in 5 minutes of The Boys and gets dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like in The Happening when Brian O'Halloran is for whatever reason like a background extra driving a car.
Don't even see his face. I recognized his goatee.
Yeah.
I recognized the guy's damn
thing.
chin. Do you even remember that in The Happening, Dustin? That Brian O'Halloran is in it?
I didn't. This is a new development to me, and I'm not going to say I've watched it multiple times because I only saw it the one. But no, I did not notice it.
Yeah, Brian O'Halloran is in The Happening. And you don't see his face. There's never a camera in front of his face in the movie.
Yeah. I spent that movie being upset about how they did John Leguizamo dirty in it. So,
I think that was the scene in which they did John Leguizamo dirty. Right?
It might have been. I mean,
he tries to escape.
When did that come out? Like 12 years ago?
Yeah, he tries to escape in a Jeep, right? It's the driver of the Jeep is Brian O'Halloran. We see his face in parts in the rearview mirror. Digression.
Yeah.
The most interesting part of this scene is that Starlight just kills a guy.
Yes.
Starlight just kills a guy. And that's a turn for her.
Yeah, and then they get inside the car, and she, like, her stare lingers on a car seat. She gets hung up on the fact that he was a father, which I found interesting because that is the exact same thing that Huey got hung up on when he killed Translucent.
Mm. Oh,
so when right before the season started, the YouTube series Honest Trailers dropped a trailer for season 1 of The Boys, and one of the jokes they made was basically every time they want to humanize a character, they show that they have children.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I was like, all right, I was willing to give them a pass, but I feel like they're definitely leaning on they were a father, so they're human thing a lot.
Well,
because we see it literally later in the same episode.
Yeah, we do, don't we? I mean, in the whole episode, yeah.
Again, I say this, I enjoy the show, but there are more ways to humanize people than having them be parents.
That's true, because you know what? Some kids are fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Or some parents are shitty.
Some parents are shitty, and they make shitty kids.
Yeah, it's weird, because it seems every single time there's like, we want you to feel bad for this shitty character who died. Like, Haley Joel Osment had a kid. Translucent had a kid. Homelander has a kid. Like, it's just all over the damn place.
Yeah. That's a good point. I actually hadn't thought of that, but now I will think about it anytime somebody in the show has a kid.
Yeah. No more kids, Eric Kripke.
Oh, yeah,
Find something new.
They did do that twice in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, okay.
Which, if they hadn't done it twice, I probably would have let it slide. But, like, to double down on it in the same episode, like, all right, man. Like, at least change it up. Lamplighter's sympathetic because he feels bad about having killed kids. That's a character arc.
Yeah.
Kind of.
At least he didn't say the line, I couldn't imagine what I would feel if somebody did that to my kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good that we did not have that line.
So, they take Huey to the hospital, and both Butcher and Starlight are just, bonding and exchanging talk about Huey's little quirks as they just stare at him and talk about how they don't deserve him.
They're too good. Huey's too good for these miscreants and evil-doing criminals and bomb people and murderers.
Which, like, for Butcher, it makes a little bit more sense. It's weird that Starlight is putting herself in that camp already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the worst thing you've done? blackmail some awful people.
Yeah.
Where
So-
Huey has murdered people and lied to her throughout their relationship.
Yeah, Huey's been way worse.
Yeah.
Like he's still a sweetheart, but he's done some shitty shit.
Duplicitous.
Yeah. What a good word.
Thank you.
Duplicitous Huey. There we go. Much better than we Huey.
And so, yeah, that wraps up the boys' side of the story.
Well, ultimately they get him to the hospital and he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's key. That's significant.
So then when we go to the 7, we'll start with Maeve. Maeve is sitting in her trailer on the set, and we see a commercial of herself selling a Brave Maeve Pride Bar.
Oh, God.
Because you can't be proud on an empty stomach. And then
I don't disagree with that sentiment, but
What a cringy thing to watch. And I know that's what the show's doing on purpose, but it's just like, even watching it within that context, I'm like, oh my God.
So yeah, then the Deep shows up and he gives her a GoPro taken from some wreckage, which it's not stated what it's from, but I knew right away. I'm like, oh, this is the plane.
Oh, I didn't piece that together until we saw the video later. I did like that he specified that he got it from a particularly rowdy group of halibut off the coast of Iceland.
I love that every time he starts talking about his seafront, everyone's just like, shut up, we don't care.
He gets so passionate about it too.
Because they're the only things that talk to him like he's a fucking human being, or the fish. No one else gives a shit about him.
Dolphins have a great sense of humor.
Yep. So then that's one of 2 Maeve scenes. And then we see later Elena wants to Postmate some sugarfish and doesn't have her own phone for whatever reason. So she finds Maeve's with some damning evidence of the plane crash. And then Maeve reveals that she's going to use it to blackmail Homelander so that he either leaves them alone or it's going to go up on CNN. So,
yeah, I love that the most upsetting thing I think that's happened in the show continues to be like this crucial plot point.
It's huge. I mean, and it's huge in the comics too.
Yeah, and then Elena is just like staring at her, and Maeve is she seems confused, and the scene ends with her saying, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And I'm like, I think she would have every, right to
like I know exactly why she's looking at you that way.
Yeah.
It's because you committed a horrible crime and allowed a lot of people to die. But correct me if Maeve can't fly herself. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
In the comics, she can.
No, she can't fly in the comics.
Oh, okay.
No, because Homelander usually carries her.
All right.
Okay.
Well then,
Because Starlight can fly in the comics.
can the Deep fly?
I think Black Noir can in the comics. But yeah, Maeve doesn't fly in the comics. Like that's like the one thing that she doesn't have in common with Wonder Woman is like the flight or like the super huge leaping ability. But yeah, like it makes sense why Elena looks at her. There's literally nothing Maeve could have done on her own though.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah, Sarah was saying, she's like, well, what could she have done other than like sit behind and died with everybody?
Yeah, like that was literally her only option.
True. He's true.
So back with the Deep, we see his further adventures. A-Train is watching a man perform his rap anthem, and then he runs into his old buddy the Deep, and the Deep just like really relates to him, and he offers to help him out, and of course he offers him something else. Would you like a Fresca?
I am very curious if there is something going on with the Fresca, like if the Fresca is like so it has a chemical in it that allows people to be more susceptible to the Church of the Collective's stuff. And
post-hypnotic suggestion.
Yeah, and if that's the case, how Fresca feels about this. I would love a press release from Fresca once we know what the significance of Fresca is. If there is significance to Fresca.
I feel like Fresca's probably just be glad to get in any kind of publicity.
Yeah, for once people are talking about Fresca instead of LaCroix.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'd be okay if like nothing is revealed there. I like that it seems to be this like ticket in, or this like olive branch that people who are members of the church offer to people to get them in. I just really kind of like that.
It is a really funny joke.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Fresca is one of the least threatening beverages. So
I find it far less dangerous than Coca-Cola, for sure.
Exactly. Somebody offers me a Fresca, I don't feel like there's an agenda. Somebody offers me a Coke, and I feel like they're trying to get me to like sign an exclusivity contract with Coca-Cola or something.
Yeah. I also love that, you know, the Deep is called out by A-Train. A-Train asks him, like, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, not much, just here to see, no reason really. He has no reason to be there other than to see Maeve.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then we see Deep and A-Train, and they are at the Church of the Collective's Renewal Center sharing a meal with Alistair Adena, who's the leader. And Deep tries to engage in a good old-fashioned truth exchange. A-Train tries to leave, and Alistair offers to help get him back in.
That's just kind of where we go ahead.
I was going to say, again, we see everybody drinking Frescas at the meal.
Yep.
Fresca is as good of a joke by itself as a drink as like Zagnut is as a candy bar. Like, you don't even need to do an additional joke. It's just like Zagnut is funny.
Yep.
Fresca. Fresca is funny.
So yeah, we're going to see how this continues to go as more ex-members of the Seven join the church to potentially get back in.
I also really like that the church is a third party in all of this, because really, if you look, like, everything taken into account, we have the boys and we have Vought. That's really like, those are the factions. And I really like the idea of a third faction, and we don't really know what their agenda is.
They're probably going to be the most dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely gives the show another layer to work with for sure.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, so then we'll get to our final character here, which is Homelander. And Homelander and Stormfront, we see them stop a thief in an alley, and then Stormfront talks Homelander out of turning him into the police while giving him a murder boner. And then Homelander crushes the head of the thief, and then they have murder sex as well.
They do.
Right by his corpse.
They do that. The police drive by unawares.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too, because it seems like Homelander is caring less and less about blatant violence within the United States that he perpetrates.
Yeah.
He seems like he's becoming a little more unhinged in that regard. He's just like, I'm Homelander, crush this guy's head.
Well, he doesn't take his gloves off this time either.
No, he doesn't. And then, they also make out with the guy's blood.
Yeah, literally like smearing blood on their faces.
I'm like, coronavirus.
Yep.
But yeah, that's interesting too. 'Cause like what other, like, that body is gonna be found unless they did something with it that we didn't see, and then like what's the explanation for why this guy has just no skull?
I'm gonna assume they probably did something with it.
They had to have, yeah.
I think especially after getting caught on video, Homelander probably knows better than to be so flagrant with stuff like that. That's a good
point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and so then Homelander tries to get Stormfront to come into his trailer for a surprise, But she tells him that she needs to go off to Vought Tower to meet with her social guys. And so Homelander goes into his trailer and waits as he stares at a heart-shaped bouquet that he has waiting for her.
Homelander caught feelings.
And as much as a sociopath can catch feelings.
Yeah, that I love the way they handled that whole scene with like just the only sound being the clock ticking, and like Homelander fucking sucks, but man, Anthony Starr is so good.
Yeah,
like it just everything with that character. It's like I'm hard pressed to think of anyone who could play that character better at this point.
Yeah, no, he's great.
So then we come back to him still waiting and looking at the flowers, and then next thing we know, the trailer has been burnt down. And then Stormfront arrives, and he tells her that he knows that she wasn't at the tower.
Yeah, and then it's more of his betrayal thing he hates.
Yep. I love that we see the aftermath of everything too with this, rather than seeing it happen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the show's really good about knowing when to show us stuff and when not to. And this is definitely one of those moments where, like, the second it cut to the burn remains, I was like, what a fucking child Homelander is. No, this girl I like didn't come back to get her flowers. Whoa.
Yeah.
Laser eyes.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't have the most fragile ego. He's got, like a Trump-esque ego, but with laser vision. And yeah.
Oh, thank God only he's got it.
So far.
Oh, don't speak it into existence.
Yeah. And then back at the tower, Stormfront shows up to confront Homelander, and she tells him that she won't lie to him anymore, and reveals that she was actually Frederick Vaught's wife, and that Homelander will lead a race of supermen millions strong in a war for the culture. And then, they make out to the sweet sounds of the Golden Girls theme.
God, yeah. As soon as she said, we're at a war for our culture or whatever, it's like, all right, there it is. Yeah, they're going full Final Solution with it now. There
I mean, like, and there was a picture of her, like, with Goebbels and Hitler.
Oh, well, sure, but
yeah,
obviously, like, all that stuff leading up to it, but, like, the second I was like, oh, okay, no, she's not just a racist. She's a racist on a mission.
Yeah. But this was the second instance of trying to humanize the character by giving them a child, with the picture of Stormfront and her daughter when she was an old lady.
Her daughter, Chloe.
And Stormfront's like 100 years old, 101 years old, we learn?
Yes.
Roundabouts, yeah.
Yep. Born in 1919 Berlin.
Yeah.
Which, with the whole Golden Girls thing, I was really hoping that she would pull a Sophia.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Sicily, 1920.
Deep cut. Good work, Trav.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's some really specific Golden Girls
Exactly.
footage.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend tracking down that clip?
Oh, it's not hard.
I've got a Golden Girls guy.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen every episode.
Oh, well, there you go.
But yeah, that's you said the thing about her having a kid. I didn't think about that. So this makes the third one, because the other thing that they did to humanize and make people feel bad was the plane footage of the guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Triple strike.
Yeah. Come on, Kripke.
Well, I mean, this episode was like really good. The quibbles, I think, are minor quibbles, but yeah.
Oh, same.
I do agree that, like, find a different way to have us relate to people we don't like.
Well, and the plane guy we already felt bad about, because here he is just getting on an international flight thinking he's going home, and no, he's gonna fucking die because superheroes intervened.
Right.
Like, we were already feeling bad for this guy.
Right.
We didn't need to know. We probably could have just assumed that he probably had a family. It didn't need to be spelled out.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. 3 times in an episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah. 1, 2, 3.
I also love that in this scene, in the background, you see all of this brand new furniture that's just like hanging about that they have to put away after the previous episode.
When they broke everything from fucking.
Yeah.
Yep. I was thinking that too. I was like, there used to be a couch right here.
I'm thinking they should probably find a different place to have sex.
Yeah, like space.
Yeah, space.
Maybe
On the
we'll see that.
moon.
No, then there'd be no moon. It would fuck up the Earth's orbit. Tide.
That's true.
That would be chaos.
Okay, so definitely not the sun then either.
Yeah, no. I think Jupiter perhaps. Maybe
Yeah, what's Jupiter done for us lately?
If Jupiter didn't exist, would it fuck up our orbit in relation to the sun? I mean, probably.
It would have to. Yeah, it's so huge.
Yeah.
There's so much gravity going on there.
Yeah.
I cannot speak with any authority on that. None of us.
Who's got Neil deGrasse Tyson's phone number? We need to settle this matter.
Oh, if I had his phone number, I would have been harassing him for the last 4 years. Hey, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Star Wars is a fiction. Shut up. Oh, the Millennium Falcon wouldn't fly like this. Yeah, it's not real, idiot.
Hey, man, let's back off, okay? Because at least the stars in Titanic are now historically accurate, okay?
You're talking about the literal stars, not like.
I'm talking about the view of the
You're not talking about
space.
Leo and Kate.
I'm talking about the sky field in the nighttime in Titanic is now accurate because Neil deGrasse Tyson fucking complained about it. Because anyone cares.
I was talking about the disproportionate misuse of Billy Zane. So. But yeah, you heard it here first, everybody. Dustin Meadows says, fuck Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Wow. Well,
Definitive.
that is our episode covering the boys and thoughts on Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We forgot. The episode ends with Cindy hitchhiking.
Oh,
Getting
yeah.
into a car, heading towards presumably a population center of some kind.
Yeah. I'm real excited to see what happens with Cindy.
Yeah.
So we shall see. Possibly in next week's episode, episode 7, Butcher Baker Candlestick Maker.
2 left.
Yeah. And as we wait for that episode, Dustin, where can people find more of your work at?
You can find what I got going on at DustinMeadowsComedy.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, which I use pretty sporadically, at Dustin Meadows.
Nice. And Alex, how about you?
Twitter and Instagram at Alex Brunel. It says so there. I don't post very frequently, but I do exist on those places.
And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the socials. We also stream live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every week. Episodes of the podcast will go up on the Apple Podcast feed or on Spotify, Amazon Music now, anywhere you get your podcasts. So yeah.
Cool.
Is there anything else you guys want to go out on?
Be nice to people.
Yeah. All right. So until next time, we gotta go.